All right, let's jump into it. So Harry's organizing a picnic. He can spend at most $24 total. Iced tea is $2 per gallon, and lemonade is $2.5 per gallon. If X corresponds to the number of gallons of iced tea and Y is the number of gallons of lemonade, what is the right inequality? So let's just start with that, and then we'll deal with the second part of the question. All right, just by reading the question, we know that the iced tea costs $2 per gallon, and that X represents the number of gallons of iced tea. We're thinking total amount of iced tea. What are we thinking? How do we do that? Well, we have to get the number of gallons of iced tea and multiply that by the amount it costs to get the total amount. So if we had 2 gallons of iced tea, we multiply that by $2 per gallon, and that would give us $4 for the entire set. And in that way, we can determine that this 2 over here corresponds to this X. And using similar logic for the lemonade, this 2.5 corresponds to this Y. So let's look at all of our inequalities in our answers. Over here, we know that these are X. I assume that there's supposed to be a Y here, so I'll just put that there. But just by looking at this and using that law of deduction, we can say that C and D cannot be our answer because they messed up what each dollar value is supposed to correspond to which variable. All right, so that leaves us between A and B. How are we going to solve that? Well, now we look at the second half of the question. Identify the number of gallons of iced tea that Harry can buy if he buys 5 gallons of lemonade. All right, so at this point, it's just a matter of plugging and chugging. 2x plus 2.5y is equal to 24. We know that Harry is buying 5 gallons of iced tea, so we're going to multiply that by 5 equals 24. And just doing a simple bit of math using our handy dandy calculator, 2.5 times 5 is 12.5. That's equal to 24. If you subtract 12.5 from both sides, you get 24 minus 12.5, 11.5. If you divide that by 2, X is equal to 5.75. So we can say with a lot of confidence that B is going to be our answer. Harry can buy no more than 6 gallons because he can buy more than 5. So A cannot be the answer. That's 1. Question number 2. Truck rental company charges $90 plus $20 per hour. Identify a function that represents the total charge for renting a truck of a certain number of hours. What is the value of the function for an input of 5? And what does it represent? All right, so this is sort of the same sort of thinking that we just did in the first problem. We know that when you're looking at this, you have to ask yourself, what number changes based off of how many hours, or what number causes the price to go up depending on how many hours I go? And according to the question, it's going to be $90 regardless of how long I work, plus $20 per hour. So looking at that, I have to understand that there's going to be a relationship between the amount of time worked and that 20. That 20 is going to be multiplied by that H, that hour, and so 90 is a fixed cost. All right, so let's look at our answers. Well, this is 20 multiplied by the hours with a 90 as a fixed cost. That's what we're looking for. So A could be the answer. B could not be the answer because the 90 and the hours are related. C could be an answer as well, and D cannot be an answer. So what is the value of a function of an input of 5, and what does it represent? To discern between A and C, all we got to do is plug in 5. What does that mean as an input? It means that we're working for 5 hours. So 20 times 5 is 100, plus 90 is 190. So 190, which is the total charge in dollars for renting a truck for 5 hours. And that is going to be correct because we just did that math. So A is going to be our answer. 50 seconds for one more question. This graph is f of x is equal to x and g of x is equal to 3 over 7x plus 2. Describe the transformation for the graph of f of x equals x to the graph of that. Well, let's look at this equation, between this and this equation. The first thing we're going to notice is that something is being multiplied by this term x, and that's 3 over 7. What does that mean in reality? It means that the slope is changing. And when the slope is changing, what we're actually looking at is a sort of rotation. As you can see, my hand is rotating. If my hand was a line, then it would be rotating. This plus 2 is going to be a translation. It's going to be shifting up or down according to 2, which means our answer is going to be B.